And you are live.
The June meeting of the Annapolis Human Relations Commission, a quorum being present, is now underway. And I'd like to thank all the commissioners for joining us this evening. The minutes from our May meeting were circulated to all commissioners in advance by email. And I would like to ask if there are any additions or corrections to the minutes.
No.
All right, hearing none, the minutes from the May meeting shall stand approved by common consent. I'd like to ask Claudia if she has a report for us this evening as our staff liaison.
Just a brief status report from the staff liaison. And the report is that we did submit to the chair of the Annapolis Human Relations Commission the plaque and awards for Annapolis High School and St. Mary's High School students that we present each year. And I gather I will make certain that, well, I'm sure that the chair will share more about that. And that's our report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Judge Barber. With respect to my report, just following up on what Claudia just reported to us, I did indeed make the presentations this year at the Senior Awards event at both Annapolis and St. Mary's high schools. And both of those occasions went off very, very well. For reasons that's not clear to me, we seem to be the first organization that's asked to make the presentation. So I find that to be a very nice gesture by both of the schools. Also, I would like to mention that thanks to the efforts of Mark Hildebrand of COA TV, that's City of Annapolis Television. We're right now in the process of putting together a video that people can watch to learn about the Human Relations Commission. A statement has been taped, about 5 minutes in length, and Mark and the COA TV staff are going to be using some visuals as well for it. The project is designed to be completed sometime during this summer. So I'd just like to express thanks to Mark for his assistance and that of the staff in fulfilling one of our objectives, and that is to get a video about the Human Relations Commission that people can actually watch and listen to from our webpage. And then finally, I'd like to thank Mark for providing technical support to the commission for its meeting this evening. So I think we can move immediately into discussion of our new business. I have a lengthy report to make on that, and then I think we're going to have an extended conversation. The first item of business under 6A is a report of meeting with the chair of the Housing and Community Equity Development Commission regarding conditions in public housing facilities in the city. I did meet with Nancy Libson, who is currently the chair of that committee. The Equity Development Commission, the Housing and Community Equity Development Commission, is one of the numerous boards and commissions for the city of Annapolis. It is an advisory body. It basically advises, provides opinions and thoughts from the community, from its members, to government entities in the city of Annapolis. So it's an advisory board. It doesn't have the fair housing authorities that the Human Relations Commission has. Nonetheless, Alderman Dewan Gay strongly recommended that we speak with that commission before making any final decisions as to how we might proceed in this whole area. And I could say Ms. Lipson and I had an extended conversation on over coffee, and I'm going to sort of I think summarize where we are on this, and we'll work in the thoughts that she had on it. First of all, let's look at what I would call the cast of characters here. Who's involved in this? First of all, you've got the residents of the public housing facilities in the city of Annapolis, and also some residents of some private facilities in the city. Secondly, you've got the HACA staff. That's the Housing Authority of the City of Annapolis, and specifically its executive director. Third, you've got city government in the City of Annapolis. And finally, you've got the United States the United States Office of Housing and Urban Development. It's a federal agency headed by a cabinet member. So all four of these entities are involved in this issue. From the resident standpoint, I think it's the opinion, of this commission, as well as Nancy Lipson, who spoke very strongly about it, in that the residents have a very legitimate grievance in terms of conditions. This is not a situation where you've got some isolated examples. This is a situation in which you've got some ongoing, widespread, serious problems related to health and safety in several of the public housing facilities. The residents from several of the facilities have filed a lawsuit against the city on this, and that lawsuit, which was referenced by the city attorney, Michael Lyles, at our last meeting, is illustrative of that. I would mention as well is that both Nancy Lipson as well as the views of a number of activists in the housing area in the city of Annapolis. I'm specifically thinking of Tony Strong Pratt, who has spoken, I think, very eloquently to this issue to the commission. And I think that we have heard from several of our commissioners on this as well. And very specifically, I'm thinking of Vice Chair Joshua Hatch, Linda Munday, and Chuck Hurley, who's chair of the Outreach Committee. And those views were real specific, and that is, it makes no sense to hold a public hearing on this issue if the only purpose is to give residents the opportunity to outline their woes without a reasonable expectation of redress on this issue. That the time has come for some specific action to be taken on this. The thoughts that folks had were pretty simple. They felt it would be and again, this is something that comes from Ms. Lipson. She said it'd be a complete waste of time. She said, we've gone to city council, we've discussed it with the committees. Right now it's just things are not moving forward quickly enough to serve the interests of tenants. Now, from the standpoint of the city, again, heard at our last meeting from Mr. Lyles, basically the city's position on this. is that this problem is really in Washington, and specifically Housing and Urban Development, that's HUD, needs to give the city the money, needs to provide the funding for this. And HUD simply says, look, for entities such as exists in the city of Annapolis with large numbers of units of public housing residents, this model has been eaten away by Congress over several years, dating back to the Obama administration, and going forward to the present day. The budget for these kinds of entities have been consistently and repeatedly cut. So HUD's position basically is, hey, this is not our problem. Funding, if you need help in terms of doing inspections, if you need help in terms of doing repairs, that needs to rest with the city of Annapolis, which appoints the members of the HACA organization, as well as the executive director, and that's where responsibility needs to lie. Don't come looking to Washington for it. So they're basically saying we're just not going to do it. The HACA staff drew really I'd say some strong praise from Nancy Lipson. She especially had some very kind things to say about the current executive director, saying that she's trying her very best to try to deal with the problems that need to be fixed in the public housing areas. But once again, it's a financial problem. She doesn't have the money. And she's caught in this situation where the two entities that are most important for her, the city of Annapolis government and HUD, are just at odds on this. The thing is literally tied up in this whole lawsuit, which was filed by the residents. There is one other issue that Nancy did raise with me. She said that there is an effort underway within some of the public housing entities to do a rent strike, and that is simply to withhold the rent money that residents would pay, making it conditional on the improvement of conditions. In the private sector, most states, I think, and localities have arrangements by which renters can put rent money into escrow pending the outcome of disputes that the renters have with a landlord. I shouldn't say this is that most states have this. I haven't really researched it, but this is common practice in a lot of places. This is a different situation from a variety of standpoints. What we face here. First of all, some of the people advocating a rent strike, so to speak, are not talking about putting the money in escrow. They're simply saying, just don't pay your rent. Just don't pay it. The other issue is that we're not dealing here with a normal private renter vis-a-vis a private landlord. You're dealing with the residents of a public entity, in this case, the HACA properties. And Nancy Lipson was real clear about it. She said that under no circumstances, she said, would her board come out in support of any kind of a rent strike, because she said what that could result in is evictions, and that HACA has the power to do that, and they will. Plus, she said all that does is reduce the amount of money further that they're receiving. So that really provides I think a summary of where we are with respect to this thorny issue. What can be done? These are just ideas that I am, and I think members of our commission have come up with. if you read through the minutes for our last meeting, minutes are usually pretty boring, but I suggest folks really take a look at them because I think they summarize pretty well the interaction that went on between members of our commission and questions that were raised and the comments made by Michael Lyles, the city attorney. One possible way of going on this is to follow the example of Newtown 20 and close down units when inspections fail. Now, at our last meeting, Commissioner Hatch asked what recommendations can be made to a family which is living in substandard conditions, and he asked the questions: are vouchers the answer? Yeah, that's I think that's a very thoughtful suggestion. Residents can be provided with vouchers that can help them find housing elsewhere. The cost of that, of course, would have to be determined. It wouldn't be a perfect solution because many residents really don't want to move per se. But given the choice of having living conditions which are just totally unacceptable and substandard, giving people the opportunity to seek housing via Section 8 and other kinds of voucher programs, that might be a solution, or that might be a way of getting around this. One thing for sure, and that is waiting on this is not necessarily going to be a viable option. At our last meeting, Commissioner Williams asked whether there is any resolution in sight with respect to this, and posed that question directly to the city attorney. And the city attorney said that litigation could play out over a year or longer. I don't really think, and I hope the commissioners agree, that this is something that we can live with. To tell people, well, you just got to tough it out and wait and see what the lawsuit ultimately produces, because that could very easily drag on for many years. And in the end, there could be appeals of all kinds if once decisions are made. There seems to be a need for some type of immediate response on this. Now, the question is, what can the Human Relations Commission do? What can we do practically on it? I'll put something on the table, and I'm sure there's other ideas that can come forward. But one thing that we could do is to communicate to the appropriate city officials that the commission is going to come out publicly in support of the lawsuits that have been filed by the residents on this matter. And we're going to call for the immediate immediate action on behalf of city officials to remedy this situation, one way or the other. Now, what if commissioners like that idea? I would want to give the appropriate city officials, which would include both Claudia and Tricia, who are our staff liaisons, some advance notice on it. We'd want to notify Hillary Raktovich, the coordinator of boards and commissions. We'd want to alert the city attorney. We'd probably want to alert the mayor and all members of the city council. What this would involve is the commission taking a position in opposition to the position taken by the city in an active lawsuit. How might the city respond to that? I really don't know. I think it'll definitely get attention, especially if we released something like that to the media and called for it publicly. So there may be other things that we can do, but what I'd like to do is just open it up for conversation. But I do think that we
Point
have
of
to,
clarification, are you saying this is more than just passing a resolution that's approved by the Annapolis Human Relations Commission?
well, yeah, I mean, what we're saying here is we would make a statement. It could be a resolution. You could say, you can call it a resolution. It would basically make a statement that we believe that the residents of public housing in the city, um, for a number of the units, have been egregiously dealt with in terms of living conditions. And the thing is tied up in court. And, we basically agree that the residents had the right to file and take legal action against the city on this matter because there was no other real option for them. That the circumstances were sufficiently dire that action should be taken right away and not let this thing drag out. Yeah, and I see Rosemary raising her hand. Yeah, Rosemary, do you have something to say?
I guess we have, in the past, we have made positions known by the Human Relations Commission.
Right.
We've done that. In this situation, could there be any unintended consequences of doing a position statement?
Well, there sure could be. I mean, we could get a whole lot of people pretty angry at us. I'm not saying that would happen, but I think.
Has anybody ever been pissed off at us before? Would it be the first time?
Again, I have a real reason for saying we would want to let people know in advance what we plan to do, and then have perhaps a special meeting this summer to actually take action on it. I think we would want to hear what the elected officials had to say about it. And I'm going to call on Commissioner Hatch. He has his hand up. And Joshua, you are on mute.
Yeah, well, let me just say that I don't think that we should weigh in the balance of whether or not someone's going to be upset with us or not. I think what we should weigh in the balance is the residents that are suffering, that are living in the conditions that we're discussing here today. And I happen to be one of those residents. And let me just say this, and I haven't said this before, but I'm going to say it today, that I intend on filing an official complaint regarding the conditions that individuals, including myself, are currently living in Annapolis Gardens. It's ridiculous. And the inspections, the painting, the attempting to cover up the fact that there's mold growing in these units is beyond me. And I think that it needs to be appropriately addressed. So if the Human Relations Commission intends on standing on the side of right on behalf of the residents of Annapolis, I think we should make a statement. I mean, of course, giving due courtesy to those who, deserve the courtesy of being notified that we intend on making a statement, but I do think that we should make one.
Commissioner Hatch, is Annapolis Gardens a public entity, or is it privately owned?
Well, I had to look into that because one of our commissioners brought that to my attention. But HACA is responsible for the units that are in the back of Annapolis Gardens. They recently took it over, and so some of those units belong directly to HACA.
So
And
that some of
do
them
some of those
are,
units belongs to somewhere else?
I believe that the front end of Gardens is privately owned, but the back part is owned by HACA.
Hmm.
And so again, this commission will be receiving an official complaint from me.
and Commissioner Monday had shared with me a copy of a document which he received, which also identified another party which is seeking to file or join the lawsuits. Could you brief us on that, Commissioner
Yeah,
Monday?
I was just about to ask if you got that. So yesterday,
did.
social media, somebody who lives in Harbor House, posted a copy of a letter that I'm assuming that she received from the law firm that is filing the class action suit. It's dated May 24th, 2024. I won't read the whole thing, but the one thing that really stood out for me on it, it's just kind of an update as to what's going on and, you know, why people establishing how people are members of this class action suit, and that they're, the court is considering their motion for summary judgment to officially declare the city violated the Fair Housing Act. So that's what really stood out for me, because that's us, right? That we're supposed to be paying attention to that. And that the law firm, who is Joe Donahue, and he's partnering with Peter Holland from the Holland law firm. But Joe Donahue's the same lawyer that did the last class action suit that was again based on the city discrimination with the residents in public housing. So he says, they say in this letter, we argue that the city broke the law by refusing to inspect HACA homes and refusing to require HACA to become a licensed landlord. The main argument is that although the city code requires every other landlord and every other rental property in the city of Annapolis to be licensed and inspected, they exempted the HACA properties from that code provision, which caused a disparate impact on African Americans who make up more than 90% of HACA renters. So I shared that with Mike yesterday, because I thought it was pretty relevant to this, what we're talking about here. And Mike, a couple things on your comments. You know, one thing is that vouchers are all well and good as long as landlords will take them. And a lot of times landlords say that they take them, but they actually discriminate against people and they don't take them. And I know that's why we, you know, partly why we exist, but that's just reality too. And the whole thing about, you know, giving everybody notice, while I appreciate that, I also want to make sure that we're not asking for approval, because the city lawyer was on our last call. He was very clear where the city stands in relation to this lawsuit, and that is that he does not feel like the city is responsible.
That's right.
So I think, you know, however we do it, if we do it as a resolution, we can also make asks and resolutions. And I think that that would be really important piece of that in response to what Rosemary said, and that is, are there unintended consequences? I mean, for me, the thing I worry about are unintended consequences of the people that are most affected, and that's the residents. So I think it would be worth our while in that if we decide to do a resolution, a statement, and we list what we would like to see the city do, that we actually, that's where we get approval, right? We talk to some residents, and thank you, Josh, for telling us that, what you did, because that definitely makes me more confident that we are, walking on the right path. Because I don't like making decisions about things that don't necessarily, I don't have context for in my own experience. So, yeah, so I think, however we decide to do that, and I'm not worried about people being angry at me. I've done that many times as a community organizer and activist. So, and I'm pretty sure that Mike doesn't really care either if people are mad at him.
No, I
Yeah,
don't.
I don't, I mean,
Um,
if the only issue is people being angry at you, I guess that at least will start the conversation. And I mean, it seems like, what we, even in thinking about the things that we can do, it seems that we've somewhat been stonewalled in terms of what can be done. So, I mean, I think in voicing our concerns or supporting, putting that as a statement to the city and hopefully getting a response is what we're actually looking for. Because right now, nothing's being done, or it doesn't seem like anything's being done except for saying wait while we continue to kind of push this out further without really giving a response. So I think that I support making a statement in that regard.
yeah, I think I'm hearing support among commissioners for us to make a statement. What I'd like to propose is that I draft a statement, but share it just with commissioners, an internal review, let people internally look at it, and then share it with a wider audience, letting them know that we are going to take this position publicly. And this is their opportunity to offer their opinions and their guidance on it. And again, I'm not going to try to hypothesize of what the response will be, but I fully agree with the statements which commissioners have made this evening. Specifically the thoughts that Commissioner Williams has, and that is this can't just drag out for 2 years while the lawyers, have their interactions and the such. Something needs to be done to permanently fix this problem. And I think that the direction they seem to be moving very slowly is similar to what was done at Newtown 20. And then they're looking at doing something like that for Eastport Terrace Harbor House. But that's not going to be acted upon immediately. Yes, Linda, you have some thoughts about that you'd like to add?
Yeah, I mean, I just, something about what the rebuild at Newtown 20. I mean, Annapolis has a history of when they do these urban renewals, families are massively and communities are massively impacted. You all heard from Ms. Duenas and Alderwoman Cynthia Carter last year, who are starting to talk about reparations for the Old Fourth Ward, and what happened in that community, how many families and, the community that was broken up in the quest to renew and revitalize a community and not really taking into account the impact that that has and the ongoing trauma that that has. So I mean, the little bit I've read about the plans for Eastport, I think it's a phased kind of thing. But the other piece is often the materials that are used for building public and subsidized housing are, low costs and not good. Not good, drywall is cheap, it falls apart. And basically the whole renovation that happened at Newtown 20, within a couple months, there was flooding, there was just all kinds of issues, and people were being moved out and they were condemning apartments. But guess what? Then families are living in hotel rooms, right? Families with kids are living in hotel rooms, trying to have some sense of stability to support their young people in school, have privacy for the different ages. I mean, all those things. So that's not any better. By condemning apartments, that's not an answer. The answer is, investing and really taking the time to make sure that the apartments that are built are going to last. The attorney last time talked about that public housing wasn't built for people to stay there for a long time. But
Yeah, and I would make a note with
let's
respect
be in
to that
reality.
point. Yeah, with respect to the last point you made, I quoted the city attorney comments on that when I met with Nancy Libson, and she pushed back on that. She said, "I do not agree with that," and she said there are many people who have lived most of their lives in public housing. This is their home, and she was really very critical of
Absolutely.
his remarks on that.
Yep. Yeah. So I
Okay,
forget
well,
what my point was.
okay. Are there other comments that folks would have to like to make on this?
No,
If
I
not,
fully support the idea, Mike. I think it's a good one.
okay,
The best we have for the day, anyhow.
okay. All right. I think I can say that that there is a consensus on the commission for me to develop a statement on behalf of the commission regarding the treatment of residents in the city's public housing units, and specifically those in which there have been lawsuits filed against the city. And it would be the position of the Human Relations Commission that we agree with the action of the residents and believe that such action is prudent. Again, the wording is not, I mean, I'll play with the wording and I'll send it out to everyone, and I'm going to mark it, it's confidential. It should not be released, until everyone's had a chance to comment on it. But this is something that I'd like to see us do right away. If it comes down to a need to have a special meeting, I've got the authority of calling one, but I'll do that only if it's absolutely necessary. Once we have a statement, we have a statement, and it's been approved by this body. There's been no opposition expressed, so I'm just going to simply say that by common consent, all commissioners present agreed with this course of action. But I think just for the record, in case someone gets really technical about it, I would like for it to be adopted as a formal motion. Basically, that the commission take a public stand in support of those residents who have filed a lawsuit because of conditions in public housing. Is someone willing to?
second that. I second that.
Okay, all right. So Linda made that motion.
Oh, okay. I'm making the motion then. Yes.
Oh, okay, all right. Who made the motion?
Oh, I
wasn't-
thought you were making the motion and I was
No, I'm
seconding.
not making the motion.
Sorry.
I'm asking that it be made.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So
Sorry.
it's, so the motion is made. I heard that there was a second for it. Those who are in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed? Abstaining? Okay, it's unanimous. And I will proceed with that exponentially and very, very, very quickly. We want to move on this very rapidly. Cool. The only other item that I have on the agenda, since we've completed items 6A and 6B, is election of chair and vice chair for 2024, 2025. I didn't contact Commissioner Hatch to see if he's interested in continuing to serve as vice chair. Are you willing to continue serving in that capacity?
I am, and unless someone else would like to serve in the capacity, you know,
Yeah, I have the same position with regard to chair. I say it every year. If someone really like to be chair, I'd be very happy to turn it over. I've been chair too long, probably. But someone has to say, I really would like to do that. I think Joshua feels the same way.
I do.
Yeah. So we're just a motion needs to be made. And it's not appropriate for either Commissioner Hatch or me to make that motion or expression of interest. We are required to do this each year. This isn't something I make up. It's required in our bylaws, and all boards and commissions are required on a yearly basis to elect officers. And we've got 2 officers, chair and vice chair.
so is the appropriate language. I make the motion for Michael to continue as chair and Joshua to continue as vice chair. Is that correct?
That is correct. You've just made a motion. Is there a second for the motion?
I'm letting Jay do it.
Second.
Okay, the motion's been seconded, been moved and seconded. Those who are in favor indicate by saying aye.
I,
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Minutes shall note that the election was unanimous.
Congratulations.
Well, I think that concludes our business for tonight. The commission does not customarily meet in August, in July or August. So our next meeting would be September the 9th, which is the second Monday of the month, the first being Labor Day. And I might mention that I will be returning from Canada on the Sunday, the 8th, the day before our meeting. And so I'm going to probably get the agendas out really, really early so people have a chance to look at it because I probably won't be able to. If I really run into a big problem, I'll contact Joshua to see if he would actually chair that meeting, but I will get all the information out. Also, if there is a need for a special meeting in the summer, I've got the authority to call such a meeting, and I will, and it would be related to anything that should come up that would require the quick review by the commission. Yes, Rosemary, I see your hand up.
before we close for the summer, I would like to say thank you to the city for the training, May 13th on inclusiveness.
Okay.
It was fabulous.
It was good. Yeah.
Yay.
So
Yeah, I
thank you
went
for,
to it
thank you
too. It
for
was good.
letting us attend. It was really worthwhile.
Yeah, I'm going to note that in the minutes, Rosemary, too. I think that ought to be done.
Yeah.
I thought it was very well led and very
Mhm.
worthwhile. I know that Linda was also at the same session I was at. What was your experience with it, Linda?
Yeah, thumbs up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I appreciated it. And I appreciated just also being, I mean, even though it was remote, but still being on it with, city employees.
Yeah.
So that was good. I'm glad that that happened.
Yeah. So Claudia, thank you for the extent to which you were involved in that. Please pass on that that information to Tricia. I'm sure she'd want to hear it. I thought it was very well organized, very much worth everyone's time. Okay, I think that concludes our meeting tonight. I would like to once again thank Mark Hildebrand from City of Annapolis TV for handling the Zoom technical aspects for our meeting, and wish everyone a really great summer. We'll if we don't catch up with the special meeting, if that doesn't prove necessary, then we'll talk again this fall.
Great.
So thank